Just got the coolant recovery tank. It's for the KTM and Husqvarnas, and I'm going to do a little video on replacing the charcoal canister in the frame with the coolant recovery tank. Really simple project, I hope. But pull the side panel off, 8mm, get your seat out, pull the seat off. Kind of rough sometimes. There's the beautiful dirty vortex from Takomoto. Thanks, Mike. Next, you want to take off the gas tank and remove the little connector on the fuel brain. You just pop that clip out. Just leave it out of the way. Take an 8mm, run it down. Pop that out real quick. That's good. Leave it in there if you can't get it out. I got big fat fingers I was blessed with, so not really cool. I'm still trying to get it out, wasting precious video time, but there's that piece. Set it over here. Come over to the front. Take this one out. I just let them drop because I'll pick them up later. Get that one out. And your wheel side. Get that one out. Get that one out. Guess it's a good video for kind of how to take your gas tank off. I'm sure people have different styles, but I just work fast. Okay, next thing I want to do is disconnect the fuel line. So I got my OEM washer cap sets. Just come over the fuel line, usually put a rag under it. Try to tip this one up. Just push that down and pull it out real quick. Take this guy here, you can push the button down until it snaps in. And take this little cap and put it over the, just keeps the dirt out of it. And come up to your gas tank, pull your shrouds out, and just lift it straight up. Easy. So the next step is to remove this bolt behind the radiator on the bottom. Be careful not to scrape the fins. I just use a 10mm wrench and just work it out. It takes a little while, but definitely doable. Take that middle bolt out. There's a bolt right on the frame on this side, and then one on this side. Mine have caps on them because I did a smog delete, and those are just to keep dirt out, so I'll remove those. This is what it looks like when it's out. There's an O-ring on it, but the coolant recovery kit comes with O-rings and everything you need. So the canister is going to come out of this hole right by the header, so it's moving, it's sitting right here, but the only way to get that out is to remove your header. So I have to remove the header pipe. I also bought an O2 sensor delete plug for Mike at Takomoto, so I'm going to do that while I'm taking the header off. Don't really need to take the header off, but it seems like a good idea since I'm on this side of the bike anyway. Alright, so the O2 sensor is pretty cut and dry. Let's take a 17mm wrench, loosen it up, and just unscrew it. There's also a dongle on the other side of the wire. Dongle on the other side of the wire though. Come up. Man, that looks pretty dirty. Take this nifty shifty plug and put it in there. So I didn't have an Allen, so I'm just using a T50 torque on it. Just getting it kind of snug. It should be good to go. If you follow the wire on the O2 sensor, you'll come to this connector. And simply just pop that out. Comes with the kit and plug it directly into it. It'll look like that. Then you just kind of tuck it out of the way, and then we'll move on to the header. And O2 deleted. So take your zip tie and just run it through here like this, and then just kind of tie it down. This is if you don't have brake spring pliers. I know a lot of us don't have like the correct tools. Take your screwdriver, put it through here, and then just pull it. Do the one on the header, same way, just kind of on the inside of it. Batten down the hatches, put your screwdriver through like this way, Or it's kind of hard to film it. So, and then just give it a good pull, and the spring will come right off. Once the header pipe's removed and my skid plate, I should just be able to pop up my finger up and then fill the canister, push it around a little bit until it drops out. So there is the charcoal canister. Now we just have to put it all back together. So there's the coolant overflow tank. You want to make sure it's facing the bike this way with the threads facing in where we took the other one out, and then just make sure those holes line up at the top. It had some heat tape on the bottom of it, so I'm actually going to replace that because it actually helps hold it in place when I'm doing everything. So the heat tape's not sticking good, but I'm just going to push it up in here and leave that stuff on, and then watch the holes as it comes up. And there we should be good about right about there. See, I'm leaving the heat tape in on those edges because it holds the canister in while you're screwing it in for the first time. So we have the 3 coolant screws, and the short one goes on the left side, and then the longer ones, one goes in the bottom and one goes on the right side of the bike. Right side will be facing forward. So there's the right side. Just try to get it started so it kind of grabs the coolant tank there. Pull it out. Nothing special. Got the screw started in the right, so I'll take a 10mm and just kind of, I'm not going to tighten it up all the way. Just enough to snug it in there so I can mount the bottom bolt. So once that one's in on the bottom, looking pretty snug. It says 2 Newton meters, but it's hard to really tell when it's flush and snug back in there, but it looks pretty good. So if it leaks, I'll just tighten it up, I suppose. That's always a good mechanical thing to do. LOL. Finish tightening the right side down. Now we got to put the short one in, which is the cap on the other side. I don't think that side's used. Just hand thread it to get it started. Oops. Take a can and twist it in there. It's all snugged up. There we go. So the coolant overflow reservoir is in. Now we need to connect the hoses and fill it with some coolant. Next part of the process is connecting the hose. Kind of hard to get it in from this side, so I'm going to do it from the other side. This is connecting the hose, and it's easier to get it from the left side of the bike, so I'm going to put that in. So the hose and the clamp are installed on the bottom. Now we need to route it up to the radiator cap. The connection to the radiator cap, just kind of pull it off there, and then you can just loosen the clamp. Just pull that off, and then we will take the tube and then cut it to length, and then we'll use the rest of the tube for the other connection. So then I just put the old clamp on the new hose here. I cut the hose to length, and then I'll actually just attach it to this, but we got to put some coolant in that reservoir. So I filled up 20 milliliters. Try a minute. Probably going to give that to the kids if they get sick tonight. That'll put them to sleep for a while. But yeah, and then I gotta have a syringe, so pretty much when I fill that syringe, that'll be about 20 milliliters. I'm like a doctor. COVID vaccination. Probably work for Trump. Then once your coolant's in the reservoir, you just put your hose back on. And then slip your clamp on and you're good to go. We have the reservoir connected to the cap with some coolant in the reservoir. Cut that to length and attach it to where the cap line was before. So now the remaining hose goes on here like so. And take the clamp. It's going to be hard to do this clamp with one hand and filming, so forgive me, just trust that I put the clamp on. There we go. Slide them back a little bit, I'm too close. So now we got the super long hose, and we're going to route it back through the side of the radiator and attach it to where the radiator cap hose was attached to. Now we're going to take the long portion of the hose and then route it back through the radiator, and then we'll cut it. So we're pushing it through, shorten it up, and then that's going to connect on this piece right here. So just cut that to length and then should be good to go. That shouldn't need a clamp on it. There you have it. Nice clean little job. Everything's clamped, everything's good, coolant's in, ready to go. Just put it all back together and see what happens. Okay, she's ready to rip, minus the military grade Enduro engineering skid plate that I forgot to put on. But there's the new coolant overflow reservoir lines, and should start it up. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Mike at Taco Moto.